In this video, we're going to look at some different strategies to help us profit on the Euro 2020 winners market. These are not strategies we get to use very often, and they might be quite new to many of you. So strap yourself in. This should be a very interesting video. Go grab a nice cold beer and a notepad, and let's get into it. So I'm not joking when I say I think you're definitely going to need a notepad for this one, as I'm going to be showing you all the different options available to you if you're looking to invest in the winners market for Euro 2020. And I expect this is going to be quite eye-opening for the newbies. I'm sure you've already got an idea of which teams you like the look of for the tournament, but this video is just going to give you a good idea of the best strategy to use for your own comfort level, and it can potentially maximize your winnings at the same time. So we're going to cover who will win. I've got some ideas on that which I'm going to put to you in this video, including some teams I've picked out, okay? And we're going to look at some Dutching strategies. We've also got the free bet trading strategies that a lot of football traders often like to try and use in these tournaments. I'm going to be showing you the pros and cons of that, and also the tournament sniper, which is a interesting way to trade these winners markets. It's the type of opportunity which only really ever comes around every couple or so years. So it'll be interesting to see if we get an opportunity to use that during Euro 2020. So there is a lot coming up in this video, as you can probably see already just by looking at the time at the bottom. But I do need to put this disclaimer out there, and I want to say anything I say in this video, follow it at your own peril. Always do your own research and only risk money you can afford to lose. Unfortunately, I just have to put that out there because there are people out there who will just follow things blindly, especially things they see on YouTube, and then they're going to come back at me and say that I told them to do it. Okay, so we got to put that disclaimer out there. And the best thing to do when you watch this video is to probably assume that I have no idea what I'm doing. So since I have no idea what I'm doing, do not follow me, and only follow at your own peril. Anyway, we're going to dive right into it, but I would really love it if you could click the like button to support the channel. It really helps us out, and it only takes you a second to do that. And if you are totally new to this channel and you want something free, then be sure to download this free cash out handbook. The link to this is in the description of the video. It teaches you all the different ways to trade out your bets on the Betfair exchange. It's very important to have. If you're someone who wants to give this game a serious go, you need a copy of this, okay? So the link is in the description. Click on that, put in your very best email address, and we will email it to you, okay? If you do it now, you will have that in your email inbox by the time this video is done. Anyway, let's try and get an idea of who might actually win Euro 2020, and then the different strategies we can use on the winners market. So trying to identify the winner of Euro 2020 is no mean task, okay? Now, first step is we're going to look at some previous winners to see if there's any sort of trends and try and get an idea of who generally wins the European Championship. Is it generally one of the favorites, or are there surprise winners? Well, you'll be interested to look at this. Okay, 1992, Denmark won this, and they were priced at 20-1. Now, Denmark didn't even qualify for the Euros in 1992, yet by some freak occurrence, they actually managed to go on and win it. So that price of 20-1, I mean, Betfair wasn't around in 1992, but I guarantee you they probably would have been matched at around 1,000-1, considering they didn't qualify and had to come off the beach to take part in the tournament. But they probably would have been around 100-1 shot on the Betfair exchange. But anyway, just for the record, they were 20-1. So big surprise underdog winner in 1992. 1996, Germany won it. Not so much of a surprise, one of the main favorites. Year 2000, France won it. Strong favorite, as you would expect. They were the World Cup holders, kind of head and shoulders above everyone, and won it. 2004, well, that's when it got crazy, right? Greece won it at 100-1 on Betfair. I'm sure they must have got matched higher than that, but that was the main information we got. So that was a crazy tournament. And yeah, Greece won that. Still not sure how that quite happened, but it did. Spain in 2008 won it, and they were they were priced at 8 at the start of the tournament, and in hindsight, that was an absolute steal, absolutely huge value considering how well they played in 2008. And then they followed that up in 2012, but they were priced at 4 as the markets caught on to how good Spain were during that little era. And then moving on to the last Euros, 2016, it was won by Portugal, who were fair outsiders there at 25. So looking at the previous winners of the Euros, it doesn't make it any easier, does it? Because when we looked at, say, the previous winners of the World Cup, you saw a pretty clear trend that the winners of the World Cup is usually amongst the front few favourites. In this case, well, what do? I mean, it's either the favourite or it's a crazy underdog. So, I mean, one way to look at it, and considering the market for Euro 2020, the markets aren't quite clear on who should be a strong favourite for this. You could take the strategy of covering multiple teams, and you could cover 2 favourites and then 2 outsiders as some sort of insurance. So anyway, based on that, let me show you who I am tentatively picking for this. And I say tentatively because for me, generally, I don't like to get involved before the tournament starts. I like to see the whole of match day 1 played out and then just see how each team plays. And then if there's looks like there's any sort of value or decent prices, then get involved, because the prices don't move too much during match day 1. You can get very similar prices during match day 1, but then you've got the advantage of seeing how each team plays. And I kind of want to see which team looks like they've got a pretty efficient defense. However, for entertainment's sake, and because I know you guys want it, I'm going to pick out 4 teams for this winners market. And we can pick 4. You should pick multiple on this market because of the generous prices. Okay, you got the front favorite priced at 6, so you can easily pick 2, 3, 4 or more even. But anyway, I've decided to pick 4, and based on what we spoke about, we do have the opportunity to probably pick 2 favorites and 2 outsiders. Okay, so let's see who I have gone for. Now, team number 1, it absolutely has to be France. I just think that they are by far the best team in a tournament. They're head and shoulders above the rest, and they should be a shorter price, really. Now, you might be thinking, well, why are they priced then at 6? And it is the group that they're in. They are in the group of death: France, Germany, Portugal, and Hungary. And obviously, the market is taking that into account. But firstly, I think they can qualify from that group. I think they're much better than the rest of the teams in that group. But secondly, you could finish 3rd in these groups and still qualify. So you could get the top 3 in that group, still qualify out of France, Germany, and Portugal. So it's not so much of a group of death like it used to be when only 2 could definitely qualify. And then we knew we were definitely losing one of those favorites in the first round, but not so much in this tournament. So I'm happy. I'm happy to include France in there, absolutely. But yeah, with the Euros, I think we got to take some cover on some different outcomes, okay? Now, you might be thinking, am I going to back England? Nope, not going to be backing England. I just always, down the years, maybe I'm a cynical Englishman, but England will bottle it as soon as they play any half-decent team in a knockout match. I do hope and wish that I'm proved wrong, but that is, it's just a fact, okay? So I wouldn't want to put my money on that. Okay, definitely want to put my money on that. So the team I'm going to go for out of the front favourites anyway would be Belgium. Now, Belgium used to be like England, used to be the perennial bottlers, but in World Cup 2018 we saw a bit of a different Belgium. Okay, really fought back well against Japan when it looked like they were going to bottle it once again, but then also the big win against Brazil, and it kind of showed that maybe they've turned the corner. This is probably the final chance, or the second final chance, for that golden generation of Belgium to actually win something, and they only failed in World Cup 2018 because they came up against France. I'm sure if they beat France, they would have won the tournament. So I'm happy to go with Belgium as my second team. Now, the 2 outsiders that I'm going to go for. Now, you might have thought I might be going all the way down here and backing Wales at 250 to 1 or Scotland at 320. But no, in this case, I'm going to skip past Spain, skip past Germany. I'm not 100% convinced by those teams. And I'm going to go for Portugal. So I'm going to go for Portugal at 11. Now, Portugal had a really good record in qualifying, really good defense. And also, you could argue that Portugal's team this year is better than the Portugal team when they actually won it in 2016, with Bruno Fernandes now involved and Felix also now involved for Portugal. So they look like a pretty solid team to be backing for me. Obviously, again, they're in that group with France and Germany, so it's going to be a tough start to the tournament, but I feel that they've got enough to get out of their group and go far. Okay, now the next one that I was going to go for, and it was between Netherlands and Italy. Now, I like the price on Netherlands for sure. Okay, remember they got to the Nations League final as well. Was it last year or the year before? However, I just had to go for Italy. Now, Italy at 12 is a pretty decent price. They kind of got that full package happening. They've got a strong defense, half decent midfield, but they've got some goals in them as well. And they've got a very winnable group to start the tournament with. So I'd fully expect that they're going to qualify from that group. And then they are Italy. They are the masters at progressing at these knockout tournaments. So that would be my two outsiders there. Okay, so we've got France and Belgium as my two favorites, Portugal and Italy. Okay, now follow this at your peril. Actually, don't follow it at all. This is all for entertainment's sake. I'm not even sure I know what I'm doing here. Okay, but anyway, that is what I'm picking: France, Belgium, Portugal, and Italy. But now let's take a look at how we could look to trade some of these teams during the tournament. But before we do that, I just want to remind everyone that currently the doors are open to the premium course, Ultimate Football Trading. The invites did go out yesterday. I know some people didn't receive their invite. If that sounds like you, then feel free to send me an email. But as I upload this video, there are still spots left. We are closing the doors permanently on Sunday night at midnight, but there should be time for you to get in if you are interested. Click the link in the description of this video, and like I said, if there's still spots left, you'll get an email back within 24 hours. If not, you'll just be added to the waiting list. Remember, this is the course that will allow you to learn football trading in full. No stone is left unturned with this. It includes 8 strategies that will allow you to trade a football match from start to finish, including the Fireball hybrid strategy that I'm recommending members mainly use during a Euros tournament based on the trends and the data that we've analyzed for this tournament. But anyway, click the link in the description, submit your email address ASAP. If there are still spots, you'll get an email back, but the doors will close either way at midnight on Sunday. The last time we opened was around 5 months ago, so it's going to be much later in the year before we open again. Anyway, let's get back to the winners market and take a look at the Dutching strategies. So the first thing that we want to look at is going to be the Dutching, and this is a very Dutchable market. When you have a market with this many selections and there's no clear favorite, it's usually pretty good to Dutch. Okay, so in this case, let me just show you if we wanted to just Dutch the front two favorites. Okay, so France and England, we wanted to use a stake of £1,000. Let's have a look. We just type it in, click on stake, click on £1,000, and you guys can head onto the market and obviously play around with this and try and find your best combination depending on the teams you want to pick. But let's just say the front two favorites, we weren't sure if it's France or England. We wanted to put £1,000 cover in both. Basically, this will allow us to win the same outcome no matter who wins, okay, France or England. Okay, so you would put that on, and obviously this will automatically do the calculation, and then you could just put that bet into the market. But that's not a bad return. I mean, £1,000 on, and then you would return £2,000 profit, so it's like a 2-to-1 on your money if it is France or England. But you can probably cover more and still make a decent return with the Dutching. Obviously, the more you cover, the more it kind of dilutes or lowers your profit. So you've got to find that right balance. Okay, you've got to find the teams you want to back, and obviously the profit you want to achieve. Some people might be going for that 2-to-1. Some people are happy with maybe a smaller profit. But let's have a look here. If we were to Dutch the front four favorites, for example, that same £1,000 stake, And now that would return £791 if one of the front four were to go on and win the tournament. So it's like a 79% return on your stake. And let's just see how far this can go. Okay, let's see if we Dutch the front seven. Okay, don't try this one at home, but let's see what sort of return we would make if we were to Dutch that front seven with £1,000. You'd make £200 profit, so 20% return on your money Dutching the front seven teams, which kind of shows you how Dutchable this market is. Okay, that you can cover 7 teams and still make a 20% return. But of course, it's all down to you whether you decide whether that is worth the risk in your view or whatever. Remember, I'm not telling you what to do here. But if we want to go by the teams that I picked out, so that was France, Belgium, Italy, and Portugal, and then just Dutch in those, it's not a bad return if I remember correctly. So yeah, £1,000 on would return 1,131. So yeah, just over, well, more than evens on my money. Okay, for backing those 4 teams, the 4 teams I liked. Okay, so keep that in mind. I mean, let's just say you wanted to go for some bigger outsiders, France and Belgium you wanted, but you like the look of Croatia and Poland. I mean, I mentioned Poland. I mean, they don't look a bad price at all, considering their team. 100-1 could be a dark horse shot. But anyway, let's just say you wanted to include Poland, 1,000, and all of a sudden, yes, a much nicer return. Then it becomes a 2-1 return on your money. You've got that money there on France and Belgium, but you're still going to make a decent return on Croatia or Poland. Okay, so that's the thing to consider with Dutching. Obviously, pick out the teams you think have the potential to win. Ideally, I know I've picked 4 here, but I kind of say 4 is usually the sweet spot when it comes to Dutching a market like this. If you put 5 or 6, then obviously you're just diluting your profit even more. But one thing to keep in mind, and it can be a big schoolboy mistake when it comes to Dutching the market, is that people would Dutch the market like this and then try and trade it. Okay, if you're going to Dutch it, you're going to have to Dutch it and then just leave it if you want to extract the full value from the market. Because if you try and trade out at lower prices, you're going to dilute your profit even more. It's already been diluted across the 4 teams. But if you don't try and trade out maybe at the quarterfinal or the semi-final stage, you're just going to dilute your profit even more. And in the long term, it's much harder to win like that. So I just want to give that as a heads up. If you're going to Dutch it, just Dutch it and leave it. Okay, and looking at this market, you could Dutch definitely 4 and make a decent profit, but maybe even more, depending. But obviously, that's all down to you, what you feel comfortable with and what combination you want to go for. So now let's take a look at skewing and having a different profit amount on different teams. Okay, so let's just back the front 4 favorites, and we're going to use that same £1,000 stake, and we are going to split it up into 25% each. So it's going to be $250 on each team, and this is for the front 4 favorites. And then you'd have £500 profit if France win, $550 if England win, $950 if Belgium win, and then $1450 if Spain were to go on and win it. And this might be a much more preferable approach for many people because, well, largely from an entertainment perspective. I mean, if you end up with, say, a France versus Spain final, well, then you know who you're going to be rooting for. But deep down, you're probably rooting for a Belgium-Spain final, okay? And I know a lot of people do prefer that approach, knowing that, well, if I'm in it and I pick one of these teams, at least I'm going to make £500. But it could be almost trebled if Spain were to pull it off. So This is an interesting approach where you're going to skew it and have different profit outcomes depending on the teams. Now, if we go back to the teams that we picked out earlier on, so it was France, Belgium, Portugal, and Italy, and then we had a similar look here. Okay, so yeah, you can see a pretty decent return. So we're going to make 500 on France, but every other team, it gets even higher. 950 on Belgium, 1750 on Portugal, and then 2000 on Italy. So not a bad approach at all, and definitely one that you might consider. But let's go back to the front 4 favorites again, and I'm going to show you how we can skew it, but we can actually skew it in favor of France. Let me set that up and show it to you right now. And so what you can see here is we have skewed it heavily in favor of France, okay? So if you were of that belief, like many, that France are by far the best team in this tournament, you want to back them, but you want to kind of take some insurance and just in case one of the other favorites pull it off, well, this is what we can do involving the front four. And of course, it would get easier and easier if you wanted to cover some of the outsiders instead of England, Belgium, or Spain, because they're bigger prices. But what you can see here is we backed France with 550, then we backed England 175, Belgium with 150, and Spain with 125. So we're now in a situation, if France do win it, we're going to make 2,300. But if one of the other front three favourites do win it, we're gonna make a profit, just not a big one, okay? £85 on England, 170 on Belgium, 225 on Spain. So it's skewed heavily in favour of France, and this could be an option that many might want to take if you do believe that France are going to be the winners, but there could be a few teams which could threaten them, and then you could cover France, skew it in favour of them, and then cover yourself. And you know, so similarly to what we mentioned earlier on, maybe you cover Portugal, Italy, Netherlands, or some other dark horses if that's what you believe, okay? So this is another approach, and of course maybe you could go the complete opposite. Maybe you don't feel that France are going to win it, but you kind of want to cover them at the same time. So let me show you how we could skew that. And this is just a quick example, okay? So we took the same front four favourites, but what if you were of the opinion that France were overrated and you fancied one of England, Belgium, or Spain more than France, but you still wanted to cover France just in case they were the real deal and they did go and win it, as many are expecting, okay? Now, what we've done here is we backed France with 175, but we put more money on England, Belgium, and Spain, as you can see here, okay? So, look, if France do go on and win it, you're gonna make £50 profit, pretty much a break even in this grand scheme of things, but you're gonna make £1,000 plus on these other teams, okay? And just to show you, I mean, if you wanted to swap England, Belgium, and Spain for, say, Italy, Holland, and Portugal, well, it would be an even bigger profit because, well, they're bigger prices, and you could really get fun if you started to go further down the line. But just to keep it simple for you, we're only just going to concentrate on those front four favorites just with this quick demonstration here. But these are your options, okay? That's the whole point of this video, just to show you that you do have different options. You can be clever about this, okay? Those days of just going down to your local Ladbrokes and putting a tenner on, getting really terrible odds, and then crossing your fingers and hoping for the best, well, those days should be over. So you've seen a few, okay? So you've seen, you know, what you can do with the Dutching, what you can do with the skewing. And again, unless you're going to be backing some of the bigger odds, you probably don't want to trade out of this. I do think if you are trading the front four favourites, then you probably just want to stick with it till the very end. But if you want to trade it, look for the bigger prices, and I'll explain more about this right now. So now we're going to cover trading the Euro 2020 market, and this is a pretty tradable market, like I've been saying quite a lot. Lots of generous prizes here. Now, the main idea for many people when they want to trade a market like this is they think, well, I'm going to back a team at the start of the tournament. If they qualify from their group, their price is going to go down, then I'm going to cash out for a profit, okay? And, well, I mean, it's a good idea in theory. However, in practice, many people go wrong. So you might get people looking at this saying, look, I'm going to back France, and then if they qualify from their group, well, I'm going to cash out. However, France are already the favourites. They're already priced at 6. Where can their price really go? Okay, so if you were to back France there at 6, probably they might go into 5. All right, I think in a very best case scenario, maybe they hit 4. Okay, and that's if they qualify and look really good. One of the risks with backing a favourite like France is that they might qualify from the group, but if they don't look convincing, they might even drift in price. If someone else who from either, say, England or Belgium looks really good in the group stages and they qualify, you might see France drift. So it's not so much of a guaranteed trade. And those people who want to back a team to lay them after they qualify from the group, well, if it's one of these favorites, you're probably just better off backing them in the 2 qualify market. But again, really, really low odds. Is it really, really worth it? So if you are going to do a trade, you're going to have to look to the other end of the market. And I definitely wouldn't even bother doing it on Belgium, Germany, Portugal. Probably the Netherlands is the shortest price at 15 that you want to get involved in, because the idea is you need space for these odds to move. Now, let's just say we wanted to back the Netherlands as an absolute minimum, okay, at 15 to 1, £100 stake. Now, if Netherlands qualify from their group and all the other teams above them also qualify, okay, now probably Netherlands will move into where Italy's pricing, and then it will move into, say, 12.5. Okay, so it's still not the hugest. Still not the hugest move. Oh, sorry, I laid Italy there. So we get, Netherlands could move into 12.5, and then you would lay them at 12.5, and then you lock in that £250 free bet. Okay, but for this trade to go really well, you would want to back someone like the Netherlands, have them qualify from their group, and also have one of these or two of these or even another one of these eliminated in that first round, or possibly you could wait until after the round of 16, okay? And then you could get a really nice move, and then you could get a move on the Netherlands. Maybe they go into where Belgium are, into 7.8, and then you would trade it out as that and leave the free bet, and then look to see if Netherlands can maybe get to the semi-final or the final, depending on how the tournament develops. And then you could look to cash out, or you could just let it run as a free bet, okay? And the idea is you're not just going to do it on the Netherlands, you're going to do it on a few teams that you've picked out. So you want to look for teams like the Netherlands, who have got a group which they should easily qualify from, but they're also a decent price, okay? So 15 is probably the lowest, but it's going to get easier the higher you go. Now, I think I did note down some teams here which I thought, looking at it, should qualify from their group and were a decent price. So Poland was another one of them, and Turkey, okay? So just for example, I mean, let's just say we backed Turkey and Poland. And again, don't follow this. Follow this at your own peril. Do not follow me. This is entertainment's sake. I have no idea what I'm doing. But if we wanted to do it like this, Turkey at 65, Poland at 100. Now, if Poland do qualify from their group, they've got a lot of room to move into, okay? It's not totally unfeasible that we see Denmark or Croatia or any of these teams eliminated, and they could take their place heading into the next round. So you could easily see Poland go into 34, okay? So if Poland were to go into 34, you back them at 100 and you lay them there using £100 stake, that's a £6,500 free bet that you now have on Poland that you could play around with, and you could just hold on to that maybe through the quarterfinal, semi-final, depending how far they go, okay? Similarly with Turkey, backing them at 65. Let's say they went into Denmark's 34. And I'm trying to be conservative here because, like I said, this trade can go really, really well if we end up with a surprise tournament and lots of shocks and all that sort of thing, okay? So Turkey, so that £100 on Turkey, backing them at 65. We laid them for a free bet at 34, and then you got £3,000 sitting on Turkey that you can then play with, or you could let ride through, okay? So the idea with this trade, if you are going to trade it, you want to back a team, ideally now, before the move is made. You want to back them before the tournament starts, okay? So you want to back these teams now. You want to do some research, have a look for a team which is in this price range. I think Ukraine were another one which has been interesting. I've had a few emails with people talking about this sort of trade. So look for teams in this price range, high prices that you think are going to qualify from the group, and then back them. And then when they do qualify from the group, or if you're really a real daredevil, you could let it ride through the round of 16 and then catch a really nice price move, and then you've got a really big free bet. So you could pick a few of these teams for some of these trades. And as we've mentioned, I mean, the Euros, they do come up with surprise winners. So if you are on that side of thinking that this is the year of the underdog, well, you could pick out some of these teams and look to catch some of these trades, okay? So ideally, look for the bigger prices. Look for a team you think is going to qualify from their group in the very least, and then back them, look to create that free bet. Okay, if you try and do this on the shorter prices, you'll find it a lot harder and the movement just won't be worth it. Okay, the shorter prices are much more conducive to just dutching or skewing and then leaving till the end. Okay, if you want to do the trade, you got to go for the higher prices. And I do hope this video is helping you out, and there is still another strategy or two to look at on the way. But I just want to mention again that the doors are currently open to the premium course, Ultimate Football Trading, as I upload this video. And there are still a few spots as I upload it. If you are interested in getting involved, click the link in the description. If you've already got an invite, you've been umming and ahhing about getting involved, be sure to make your decision before midnight on Sunday, because that is when we will permanently close the doors. Okay, so if anyone is too late, maybe you're watching this video too late and you click the link in the description, don't worry, we'll just add you to the waiting list for the next opening. And I do want to stress that Ultimate Football Trading is not just for the Euros. The Euros will be a good practice run for it, but the main idea is that you use the Euros and the Summer Leagues to get you ready for the new 21 to 22 football season, so you can approach the new football season like a pro. It's important to prepare now during the summer rather than waiting for the new season, trying to dive in and then just being overwhelmed. Don't forget, I'm also including a huge bonus package along with it. More info on what is included will be sent to those on the invite list. So if you're even the smallest bit interested, click the link in the description, put in your very best email address and request an invite. So the tournament sniper method is an interesting opportunity which can pop up in seeded tournaments like this, and it's also going to need some good solid liquidity. So it's not something we can really use that often. However, we could use it on the Euros right here. So let me just explain how it works, and this is all to do with the timing of the fixtures. So if we just take a look at, we've got the group stages here. Now once the group stages are complete and we get to the round of 16, okay, Saturday 26th of June, and it doesn't necessarily need to be this match, but this is just an idea. So what we do is we look for the first team to qualify from the knockout, and then we look to back that team in the winners market. Okay, so it could be that first team or even the team in the second match. And so once that team has safely qualified, we know that that team cannot get eliminated from the tournament until they play their next match in the quarterfinals. However, in the meantime, other teams can be eliminated. And if we get some favorites or teams that are ahead of them eliminated, we could get a very low risk, high reward trade. Okay, we just need even just one favorite to stumble, and then we could make a nice price move on that. Now, worst case scenario, all the favorites win, then the price shouldn't really move that much, and you might just have to get out for a small loss. Okay, that's usually how it works. Now, so I've looked ahead just to give you an idea of this. So Saturday 26th of June, that is the first knockout stages, and you've got the winner of Group A, which could potentially be Italy, or the second place in Group A, which we think is going to be Italy. So that could be a good team to try it on. Obviously, it depends. I mean, someone else might win the group and we've got an even better opportunity. But for example, let's just say it is Italy. Italy's price here is currently 12. Let's just say that because they've qualified from the group, they've moved into 10 because all the other favorites ahead of them have qualified, which is pretty likely in this tournament. And so just to show you what we could do here is you would back Italy at odds of 10 after they've shortened, but then you've got all the other knockouts still to play, and you've got a much higher likelihood of the favorites getting knocked out in that knockout stage than you do in the group stage. So definitely don't try this on the group stage, waiting for a team that qualifies and then trying to see if it would work from there. You're much better off doing this in the knockouts, and then you've got all those matches from that Sunday, Monday and Tuesday, and then obviously you've got pretty much until, when would they play again? So they would play again, and this is just for example, so they're probably going to play again on that Friday or that Saturday. So you've got a good part of a week to adjust your position. So anyway, let's just have a look. So basically what you would want is you would want Italy, you'd back Italy, and then you'd want one of these teams, France, England, Belgium, Spain, Germany or Portugal, to go out in a shock result at the round of 16. And then if that does, it's gonna cause Italy's price to collapse, because they will basically take the position of the favorite that is above them. So I mean, if we had France or England knocked out in the round of 16, then it puts the cat amongst the pigeons, and you're in a good position to take advantage of it. Okay, you're backing them, and of course, like I said, probably the worst case scenario when this happens, all the favorites win, and then maybe you just have to get out for a kind of a small scratch trade, or I can't even show you like this. But that is kind of the idea. But with the tournament sniper, you basically want to back a team which has safely qualified for the next round ahead of all the other matches. And you're just looking for a surprise, okay? You're looking for a favorite which is going to get eliminated, and that will help you win a very nice trade. And just for those who are interested, this sniper strategy, whoever did it back in 2016, it worked pretty well, okay? The first round of 16 match was Portugal against Croatia. I don't know if it was Croatia, but Portugal won it. And Portugal was still a pretty nice price after qualifying from their group. And then, in the same round of 16, we lost Spain, and then we lost England against Iceland, for those who remember. Well, it wasn't, it was the round of 16, yeah. So anyway, that works very, very nicely, because by that point, suddenly Portugal were starting to, they started the tournament as outsiders, but after that round, suddenly they were starting to look a bit more serious, and they were amongst the favorites. I can't remember the exact price movement, but that's the type of thing we're looking for, okay? So that's just what you've got to pay attention to. It doesn't necessarily have to be the Saturday, but you want to give yourself as many matches as possible for the possible shocks to happen. But either way, you just want to back a team when they've qualified for the next round, and you are going to exit before they play their next match. Hopefully you're exiting for a profit, but worst case scenario should only be a tiny loss. So that's the tournament sniper one. Look out for that once the group stages are over, and see if you can spot an opportunity. So we've still got one more strategy to look at, but I can't believe we got this far in a video without me asking you guys the question: who do you think is going to win the Euros? Who will you be backing? Obviously, I have suggested you should be backing more than one team. So leave a comment below and let me know, and let everyone else know, the teams that you will be backing. Also, maybe which strategy you'll be looking to follow, whether you're going to go for the straight win or you're going to look to trade some of the higher odds. It's very, very interesting. Like I said, I can't believe I got this far in a video without asking you. So leave me a comment and let me know, who will you be backing in the winners market for Euro 2020? But of course, we cannot forget about the best strategy of all when it comes to the winners markets in the Euros tournaments, the World Cup tournaments, and probably any tournament. The number one strategy to use, and you can forget everything else, if you want to make money on the winners market tournament, the number one strategy to use is this: it's lay England. It's lay England, okay? That is usually the winning strategy. It's won every single tournament since Betfair was created. Not sure how many of us were around in 1966, but it is almost a dead cert. So anyway, I think that might be the lay I'm going to throw down. Okay, it's a 5.4 million liability, but it should make me an easy £1 million in this tournament. But that is the strategy. That is the winning strategy. All right, forget everything else. That's usually the winning strategy. Of course, I must just also put my disclaimer out there. This is a joke. Do your own research. Don't follow anything I'm saying, and I don't even know what I'm doing. Anyway, if this has been helpful to you in any way, don't forget to click that like button. It really, really does help us out. If you didn't do it earlier on, okay, that's just a gentle reminder to please click the like button. Hit the subscribe button and the notification bell as well, so you get all future videos as soon as they come out and you do not miss a thing. But anyway, if you're not ready for the Euros, you really, really should be. Remember, we put up this video very recently, the Euro 2020 trends and profitable angles to look for. If you haven't watched this, you absolutely must. Stop everything, click on that video and go and check it out. Make sure you've got a notepad and a nice cold beer by your side. Click on that video and I will see you in the next video.